It's a warm welcome here in our studio in Serekunda. This is Star TV News and I am Emily Fadera. In the headlines tonight, no new case of COVID-19 registered in the country as of yesterday, 7th April, as the Ministry of Health continues to host daily updates. CopperWorship donates food items to Gambia Police Force in the fight against COVID-19. Businessmen not happy with National Assembly state of emergency extension. On the international scene, protesters destroy Ivory Coast coronavirus testing center. UN urges coordinated efforts to contain coronavirus in Mali. Trump threatens to slash U.S. funding to World Health Organization. Those were the headlines, and now the news in details. Speaking at the daily briefing on the novel coronavirus on Tuesday in Banjul on behalf of the Minister, Dr. Mustafa Abite, the Acting Director of Health Service, indicates that the situation of the COVID-19 is still stable in the country. Ahmad Joe files in this report.
Dr. Mustafa Abite gives the 18th National Situation Report since the pandemic novel coronavirus outbreak in the Gambia, highlighting that the country has only one active case.
The Ministry of Health would like to update the public on the situation of our national response to the COVID-19 pandemic in collaboration with partners through the National Health Emergency Committee and the various subcommittees. The 18th National Situation Report, since confirmation of the first case of the novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19, in the Gambia on the 17th of March 2020, revealed the following. One, the Gambia records no new laboratory confirmed COVID-19 case. As we speak, all 38 laboratory test results received from the Medical Research Council lab were negative for COVID-19. That makes it a total of 175 tests have been done so far. There is one inconclusive one awaiting confirmation. 6 new people have been taken into quarantine, and this makes the total to be 38 now. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the country reported a total of 4 confirmed cases, 2 of whom have recovered, 1 passed away, and 1 undergoing treatment. And currently, as I said, there is 1 probable case. It is important to note that all 4 confirmed cases were imported.
Dr. Bite also lamented on the ministry's plan to upgrade the entry border health facilities on electricity shortage.
To upgrade the point of entries, and we've visited that place in Amdalai. Like you said, there were some issues with electricity and all, and I think GRA were kind enough to connect them, but the plans includes upgrading the point of entries, and this has already been included in some of the things the World Bank is funded. About the restoration and to help the socially disadvantaged, I know I was privy to be in a meeting where Minister of Finance is working hard on that to ensure that if these things are done, if these measures are taken, there will be safety nets for those type of people. The government is looking into that, and budgets have been made, what it will take. The demographic studies have been done. They already have the statistics of people who will need those type of support and what it will require. So there's a plan to help them.
The Director of Health Promotion and Education, Modun Jai, added similar remarks on the plan of upgrading the entry border facilities.
Been said that is exactly what is happening. That's the plan, is to where we don't have points of entry, official points of entry. The plan is to have those areas to have official points of entry. Where we have is just to look at them, review, and refurbish where necessary, and then also try to ensure that all the materials that are required are also provided. That is also in the plan. But currently also what is happening in Amdalai is that the team is working very hard with the team in Senegal. They're doing what we call cross-border initiative. And in this cross-border initiative, what they are doing, they're going into communities, because this is our health authorities and the health authorities of Senegal and the Gambia are working together to reach out to all the communities within the borderline, so that they also sensitize them, engage them, and also for them to take action and to ensure that they also limit the movement of people within these two countries. So this is something that is also ongoing, and we want to thank the two countries for coming up with an initiative, a cross-border initiative, so that this has also been extended to other regions in the country. So basically, the plan is to review the existing structures, and then to make sure that what needs to be done are provided. And if you look at recently, with the support of the IOM and as well as the ministry itself, we're able to provide some basic materials for those points of entry across the country. So this is something that you will see when you go. You will be able to see thermometers, you will see computers, you will see materials, PPEs, and any other equipment that they will require to protect themselves, and also whilst they are doing their work, you will see this thing by yourself, and you'll see the buildings are also of good standard. So what we need to do now, areas without official point of entry, the plan is to have those facilities built in those points of entry. So that's the plan for now.
Mr. Njai further thanked the media for the support in the fight against COVID-19 and stated that new measures will be implemented in order to aid the work of the media personnel on the front line. For Star TV, I am Umar Diop.
In a press release sent to media houses, the Office of the President wishes to inform the public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow has declared Friday 10th April and Monday 13th April 2020 as public holidays throughout the country for the Easter celebrations of Good Friday and Easter Monday. The release reads, the Office of the President wishes to inform the public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow, acting under Section 76 of the 1997 Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia, is pleased to declare Friday 10th April and Monday 13th April 2020 as public holidays throughout the country for the Easter celebrations of Good Friday and Easter Monday. President Barrow wishes to take this opportunity to extend best wishes to the Christian community who dedicated themselves to 40 days of fasting and prayers in commemoration of Easter. The President also extends a message of appreciation to the Christian leaders and their congregations for respecting the state of emergency regulations of closing all place of worship, especially during the Lent period. While wishing the Christian community a blessed holiday period, the President sees the opportunity to further urge all Gambians to work together for peaceful coexisting and reconciliation. The release ends. CopperWorship, a Turkish ship currently supplying electricity in the Gambia since 2017, donates food items to the Gambia Police Force at the police headquarters in Banjul. Modu El Baji sends in this report.
Since the outbreak of the COVID-19, philanthropy organizations, youth groups, and the private sector are joining hands in the fight against the COVID-19 by donating the less privileged. However, CopperWorship also play their quota by donating food items to the Gambia Police Force. The country manager of CopperWorship, Yankuba Mambure, gave a synopsis of their company and the donation.
Today we are here witnessing yet another important occasion that is given out to the police. It's not only the police. From here we are going to Banjul City Council, and from there we are going all the way to Wulinkama, supporting some orphanages. Some of them have up to 150 people living there, and they are in dire need of help. So we do assessment. We also work with the fishing community here. We bought some fishing gear for them. What you are seeing here today in totality, that means the police, BCC, the orphanages, etc., is $20,000. That is about $1 million. That is that worth of food that we have, food and other items that we have purchased. And we believe it's very, very paramount that we do this, because this is a time that we are asked to stay at home. But if you stay at home, you should be able to have some other means of survival. And the police, they play a very important role for us. We see them day and night, wherever we are. Sometimes we are sleeping. We can sleep because somebody is awake taking care of your needs as a community. So as a result, we are very happy to be here. I want to...
Mr. Mambure added that they did not have competitors throughout the globe, and he also extends regards to his co-workers who are tirelessly ensuring that there is constant supply of electricity. The Inspector General of Police, Momad Job, expressed gratitude to the management of CopperWorship Company for what he described as a timely gesture.
I will express my happiness to receive this gesture because it is something that my department needs most. We all know that this virus is very deadly to an extent that people are advised to stay at home and try to avoid personal contacts as much as possible. With us as a department, we find it very difficult to be at home at all times because the duty that is put on us entails that we have the public interaction, meaning that we need to go out to make sure that we prevent a lot of illegal things from happening.
The Inspector General of Police indicated that this gesture will go a long way in enhancing their operations, and he assured the donors that these donated items will be distributed wisely. However, similar donation was made at the Banjul City Council, where the mayoress of Banjul, Rahimalik Lo, indicated that this gesture will be filtered down to the grassroots communities. She also thanked the CopperWorship for the magnificent gesture. Reporting for Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Gambian businessmen are not happy with the decision made by the National Assembly members to extend the public state of emergency to 45 days. The closure of all non-food selling stores inside markets under COVID-19 emergency measures has caused a big uproar among businessmen and women who decry their businesses will die. Mariama Dem files in this report.
The closure of non-food selling stores inside markets under COVID-19 emergency measures has caused a big uproar among businessmen and women who describe their businesses will die. Ibrahim Jallo, a businessman, believes that life is important, but one cannot survive without food and they get food out of their daily business. He further urges the government to render support to all affected persons. He also said there is no need to extend the state of emergency as the country does not have many cases of COVID-19 and follow the measures put in place by the health officials. Mor Sise, also a businessman, noted that the extension of the public state of emergency will affect the businessmen as they live from hand to mouth, and government should help the affected people by providing the basic needs for them. Musa Wage, a businessman, also said this will affect majority of Gambians who lives from hand to mouth, although health is #1 priority, but the government should allow them to operate for some hours at least to have something to take to their families. Maria Madam, Star TV News.
And now the news beyond our borders. Protesters in Ivory Coast commercial capital Abidjan has torn down a coronavirus testing facility, afraid that they might contract the disease. The Ivory Coast has reported more than 300 infections and has imposed a nationwide curfew since March 23rd. Al Jazeera's Nicholas Haig reports.
This is what is left of a coronavirus testing center in the suburbs of Yopougon. Mobile phone footage captures people destroying the makeshift center built to check them for the virus. Scared and angry, they strip it bare. Riots continued through the next morning, with police firing tear gas to disperse a growing and anxious crowd. Many say they want the center to be built outside of their neighborhood. This woman shouts, "We are humans. We don't want the coronavirus here, right where we live. We don't want it today or tomorrow," she says. With more than 300 confirmed cases in Ivory Coast, the virus is spreading rapidly. The government has imposed a lockdown on the economic capital Abidjan and a nationwide curfew, measures that come too late, says local authorities who fear many more people are infected without knowing.
Some of you will have a fever this evening, or even earlier. Others will cough or have a sore throat. Others will feel strange. Don't worry, all the districts of Abidjan will have these centers in place to facilitate and provide information. It's not just for testing, it's to provide information.
This crisis is revealing the level of distrust people have for their government and health services. Ivorian football star Didier Drogba took to social media after two French doctors, one of whom heads the Institut Pasteur in Lille, suggested testing of COVID-19 vaccine on Africans. The Institute Pasteur has more than 11 centers of research in Africa, including in Ivory Coast, which are used to detect viruses. Many people living in Yopougon say they don't want to be guinea pigs in experiments involving a virus they believe comes from Europe.
I don't think this place is appropriate because it's an illness and we know how it spreads. So if we need to set up a hospital of this kind, they should put it outside the city.
The government is seeking to reassure people, saying that no testing will be carried out on patients. But with cases multiplying, fear of the virus, along with the virus itself, seems to be growing uncontrollably. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera.
The United Nations Security Council has been briefed by the head of the UN's peacekeeping mission in Mali, whose job is to stem growing insecurity there. In a virtual meeting of the UN Security Council, 15 ambassadors took part remotely to discuss the situation in Mali, where 15,000 peacekeepers are based amid continuing violence. Here are in all the peacekeeping operations around the globe, the UN faced difficulties and soldiers who will normally be relieved and rotated home are stuck in the place. Al Jazeera's James Bay reports from the UN headquarters in New York, US.
The personal agenda for this meeting is the situation in Mali. The agenda is adopted.
A virtual meeting of the UN Security Council. The 15 ambassadors taking part remotely to discuss the situation in Mali, where violence continues to intensify. In the north of the country, in the town of Bamba, at least 25 soldiers from the Malian army were killed in one attack this week. On the outskirts of the capital Bamako, this is a camp for those displaced by the fighting. The head of the UN mission in Mali is predicting that the impact of COVID-19 will make things even harder in the country.
Mali is not an exception to the pandemic. The country has recorded, as of today, 56 positive cases, including 2 in MINUSMA and 5 deaths.
The UN currently has about 15,000 peacekeepers serving in Mali. Here and in all the other peacekeeping operations around the globe, the UN faces real difficulties. Soldiers who'd normally be relieved and rotated back home are stuck in place for now. How worried are you about keeping the peacekeepers that are so needed in place?
Yeah, this is, I think, a top priority for the UN. There has been a 3-month freeze on rotations since the outbreak of this pandemic to, I think, really give everybody a chance to assess what's happening and to avoid inadvertent spread by peacekeeping rotation. I mean, the key thing is that the UN are able to bottom out really quickly what the medical services that they can ensure are in place for peacekeepers and, frankly, for country team staff and other staff.
The UN has now stopped all troop rotations between now and the end of June because of the spread of COVID-19. They have another big worry too. There are swirling rumours that some nations may be considering taking all their peacekeepers home. That would be a nightmare scenario. If one country did it, others may well follow suit. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.
The U.S. president has criticized the World Health Organization for its handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Donald Trump has accused the agency of being China-centric and has threatened to cut funding. Al Jazeera's Mike Hanna reports.
After a series of critical tweets during the day, President Trump launched a verbal attack on the WHO in the daily coronavirus briefing. The president seemed particularly angered by the WHO's recommendation in early February that international air travel should continue. This just days after he had imposed a ban on flights from China. He also appeared to echo allegations that the organization relied too heavily on information from China during the initial phase of the outbreak.
They called it wrong. They called it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known. And they should have known. And they probably did know. So we'll be looking into that very carefully. And we're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it. And we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good.
The ban on flights from China was one of the recommendations the president's economic advisor made in a memorandum sent to the National Security Council at the end of February. Peter Navarro also warned that as many as 600,000 Americans could lose their lives. Navarro sent a second memorandum a month later, and this time he included the president on the distribution list. He said that between 2 and 3 million Americans could die. He also specified the medical supplies the government would need to obtain to prepare. This included 1 billion face masks, 11,000 ventilators, and 25,000 respirators. The memorandum was largely ignored. President Trump denies he ever saw the documents.
Sir, just a quick follow-up, Mr. President.
Did you just learn about this today?
Say it?
You learned about the memo today?
I read about it maybe a day ago, 2 days ago.
Do you feel like someone among your staff or Peter Navarro himself should have told you about the memo earlier?
No, it was a recommendation. It was a feeling that he had. I think he told certain people in the staff, but it didn't matter. I didn't see it.
The president told reporters the contents of the documents would not have changed the way he's acted, and then left the briefing after saying he would read them later. Mike Hanna, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Aid groups are concerned about the possibility of the coronavirus pandemic reaching rebel-held Idlib city in Syria. Fears continue in the rebel-held Idlib city of the northwest Syria as the pandemic sweeps the world. Its population lives under extreme shortages of medicine, and supplies in its hospitals have been depleted by nearly 10 years of war. Some in Idlib city has taken matters in their own hands, producing masks. The production provides jobs for the locals and for some of them a hope for a better future. Al Jazeera's Sinam Kosoglu reports.
5 years ago, the war in Syria cost Muhammad al-Assad family members and his leg. Now the latest advance by the Syrian government forces has forced him from his home in Sarakib with other relatives, and they are living in Idlib. They face a new threat, the coronavirus pandemic. Yet for him and his father, it is also an opportunity. They found much needed work making masks.
There are no schools. We used to study, but now we can't. I hope to return to Sarakib to continue my study. I'm happy that I work and earn. I'm also with friends, so I'm getting used to these conditions.
Ahmad Abdul Rahman opened this manufacturing shop 3 months ago as he was displaced from Sarakib. He'd carried all his machinery to continue making clothes. But as the pandemic threatened the country, he decided to produce face masks with his 50 male and female workers. So far, no infections have been reported in Idlib. Abdul Rahman checks his employees' temperatures and ensures they sanitize their hands before they start sewing every day.
Because the virus is getting closer to the liberated areas, there is high demand in masks. Right now, all crossings to the regime areas are closed. So we produce here. We import the fabric and medical Vaseline. We sew, sterilize, and sell in the markets.
They produce between 5 and 10,000 pieces a day, and some fine work is done by small hands before being boxed and sold in the local market.
We can't import masks from China right now. Demand is high, prices went up. This local production is a bit different in concept, but 3 layers of sterilized masks helps us during this crisis.
It is unclear if the health system in Idlib could handle an outbreak. But for these people, being able to work is a relief and gives hope to many. That includes Muhammad, who soon might be able to afford more help and treatment. Sinam Kosoglu, Al Jazeera.
And before we end the news, a recap of our main headlines. No new case of COVID-19 registered in the country as of yesterday, 7th April, as the Ministry of Health continues to host daily updates. CopperWorship donates food items to Gambian police force in the fight against the COVID-19. Businessmen not happy with National Assembly state of emergency extension. Protesters destroy Ivory Coast coronavirus testing center. UN urges coordinated efforts to contain coronavirus in Mali. Trump threatens to slash U.S. funding to World Health Organization. Well, that's all for this edition of the news. Please enjoy the rest of our programs and join us tomorrow for more news. Thanks for your time.